Hey guys, Aaron here, and I've got another watch review for you. Today we are looking at the Tudor Black Bay, and this is the Gen 1 with the ETA movement and the curved text with the Tudor rose on the dial. But before we get too far into that, let's talk a little bit about Tudor as a company. I find Tudor to be really interesting to consider when you're looking at the landscape of modern luxury watches. They are effectively owned and operated by Rolex. Traditionally, Tudor watches were Rolex cases that had non in house movements. This was true up until the release of the Tudor North Flag that held one of Tudor's new in house movements. Before this happened, Tudor was a way to get Rolex craftsmanship at a more accessible price point. There are even vintage Tudor Submariners out there using the same sub case as a classic Rolex but have a different movement inside. The Black Bay, this watch, was released in 2012 as part of a heritage line alongside the Heritage Chrono and Advisor Alarm, which I really haven't seen many examples of, the Advisor Alarm. The trend these days seems to be vintage inspired pieces, and I can't say I'm too bothered by it. If you watched my Speedy Mark II review, that's right in the same line. So let's talk about some specs. The case on the Black Bay is 41.1 millimeters, not counting the crown, by my measurement. Lug to lug this way is 50.3 millimeters. Case thickness is a svelte 13.3 millimeters. The weight on the bracelet is 5.9 ounces, and this version has the ETA 2824 in it. So fit. For a few months, I regularly wore a Rolex Explorer 2, the 216570. One of the things that I found really remarkable about that watch was the comfort of both the bracelet and the case. They were expertly proportioned to wear for a long time, and I felt that that really showed in how unobtrusive the watch was as a daily wearer. I bring that up because I find the Black Bay to be exactly the same. It has a thin case for a diver that rides close and low to the wrist, and the bracelet links are perfectly proportioned to execute a very effective drape across the edges of your wrist. The movement, it's an ETA movement. That's kind of the point, though, for a Tudor. They were the lower budget access point for Rolex's craftsmanship, at least in as far as any luxury Swiss watch can be a lower price point watch. So honestly, without beating a very dead horse much deader, it's an ETA 2824. It's like a bowl of vanilla ice cream. It's perfect in every way, but it does nothing more. According to my measurement with the Hairspring app on my phone, it's keeping minus about 3 seconds a day. That's cost right there. I'm cool with that. The dial, bezel, and crystal. I love the way this watch reads. I have come to love having a snowflake hand. I have found that the actual reading of a watch becomes extremely fast. The hour hand locates the time of day that you're in, and then you just need to glance at the minute hand. That was the whole purpose behind the snowflake hour hand. And the Mercedes hour hand, fast time acquisition. This Heritage Black Bay has a gilt dial, meaning gold text and accents on the dial. I only mention this because in doing my research, I had to find out what gilt meant. The crystal is a slightly domed sapphire crystal. It raises above the bezel just slightly. It has a nice balance between being domed with that vintagey look and being a really nice modern AR-coated sapphire crystal. It's very readable, but it looks great. Lastly, the bezel is one of the things that really sets off the different versions of the Black Bay. They come in different colors, black, blue, red, so on and so forth. And I believe it's an aluminum disc set in here that has been colored. It is a 60-click bezel, a really nice 60-click bezel. But what that essentially means is that it will align fairly precisely with each minute marker. Most watches that I've had in the past have a 120-click bezel, which are a little bit more precise in terms of timing operations. But for my uses, timing the stuff that I do, it seems to be perfectly fine. Strap in the bracelet. My Black Bay came on the steel bracelet. They are also available on a really beautiful vintage leather strap, and they come bundled with an extremely well-made NATO. I don't have the NATO myself. I've seen it in person. But I bought my watch on the secondary, and it didn't include it. I checked one out at my local AD, however, and I was really impressed. I'd buy one. From what they told me, they're made by the same company that makes the Pope's robes. I think that's pretty slick. The steel, on the other hand, is really, really nice. The modern generations of Rolex's Oyster bracelet are pretty amazing, comfortable, solid, and extremely versatile. The Oyster is something that looks equally at home under a dress shirt as it does on a bare wrist next to jeans. So, to kind of wrap up, I'll have to say that I have enjoyed my time with the Tudor Black Bay. The build quality is second to none. It really is a testament to Rolex's quality. The timekeeping has been without reproach, and the practicality and comfort of this piece is exactly what it should be. Tudors, in particular the ETA versions, represent a really awesome value for the burgeoning watch collector. It's a good way to get into Rolex craftsmanship and the form factor without having to spend full-on Rolex money. I really can't recommend them enough, and I suggest you shoot over to Watch Recon and see what you can find. In the written review over on gearzite.com, I added a little addendum, and I'm going to read that for you. Literally minutes after I finished writing this review, I was whisked off by my family on a surprise 30th birthday trip. As you would assume, I had the Black Bay on my wrist, and it was along for the ride. Over the course of the next week, it crossed 3 time zones, coordinated dicey flight changes, and timed extremely critical French press steep times. It dove to the bottom of the Caribbean Ocean after Seychelles and made sure that we weren't late to really nice grilled lobster dinners. After all that, I came home knowing that the Black Bay would be a fixture in my collection for some time to come. I still couldn't be more pleased by this piece. It's quirky, the red bezel, the crown tube are classic, the gilt dial and the markers, all of that, and its quality with Rolex's commitment to fine craftsmanship being passed on to Tudor. I highly suggest you get one of these if you have the opportunity. So that's it, guys. I'm a big fan. These are really great. Thanks for watching. See ya.